Hello, Captain Gray here. Welcome back to my channel. Please help me by liking my video and subscribing. It helps a lot to spread the music. This year I'm recording all the Bach Inventions and Symphonias, and this follows on from complete cycles I did in the last couple of years with the Well-Tempered Clavier and the Goldberg Variations during the lockdown. Now, one of the first things anyone new to my house usually says to me is, "Oh wow, you have two pianos." Now, of course, I don't actually have two pianos. I have one piano, which is this one over here, Boston Baby Grand, designed by Steinway and Sons. And then this is a Nicholas Dam harpsichord, modeled after a J.M. Bach original, German original. He was a cousin of Johann Sebastian Bach. My third keyboard here is a Roland C200 classic organ, and that actually has all the features of a harpsichord, as well as a Baroque organ. So it all begs the question, what is the difference between a piano and a harpsichord? It's one of the things I'm most often asked when people walk in. So I'll try to keep this really short and simple. The harpsichord was the main keyboard instrument before the invention and the popularization of the piano. The harpsichord is probably more familiar than you think. It's popped up in popular culture through the years, usually denoting something aesthetically bizarre or even ghostly, like played by the butler Lurch in the Addams Family, where he was ludicrously playing Chopin Polonaise, or as a character in Beauty and the Beast. I wonder how many people thought that was a piano. It occurs in horror or ghostly films, or sometimes for exotic effect in pop music. Even a character in the original Star Trek. Talking of pop music, do listen to the Beatles' All You Need Is Love and Piggies, and you'll hear the harpsichord to the forefront or in the background. The harpsichord operates by a simple mechanism of jacks that spring up when you press the key, and that plucks the string and then falls back and damps the string. As the name suggests, it's essentially derived from a keyboard-operated harp and developed in the Middle Ages. The limitation is that not only does the sound decay quickly, no matter how hard or soft you press, the sound volume will never change. Bigger harpsichords such as mine have two keyboards or manuals, giving slightly different sounds for some tonal variety. And the Italian concerto shows the fast interplay between the keyboards that you have to perform with quick switches, so similar to what organists do. And then the difference in tone and how Bach exploited it. You can combine some of the sounds or mute the strings on the top keyboard by sliding a piece of leather or rubber, and that gives you what's called the buff or lute stop. Still, you're always going to get the same constant clitter-clatter of sound from the harpsichord. Some people like it, some people don't, but particularly in Baroque ensemble music, I think it's essential, and the piano sounds too sort of soapy and loud. The piano itself first appeared in the workshop of harpsichord maker Bartolomeo Cristofori of Padua around 1710. As the expressive demands of music began changing towards what was thought of as a more simple, melodic and expressive style, a new keyboard instrument was needed to realize this need. The name pianoforte literally means in Italian, soft, loud. And although the new instruments looked a bit like harpsichords, in fact they were made in harpsichord cases originally, through an intricate set of gears, the new hammer action inside meant the keys were touch sensitive. The faster you depress the note, the louder the sound. You could get dynamic changes of sound within a single passage and better sustaining power. So we're talking about crescendo and diminuendo. As the piano became more sophisticated and widespread through the mid-18th century, The harpsichord tried to fight back, installing systems such as the Venetian swell. That was a set of blinds that could be operated by the foot to open and close, giving you louder and softer sounds. In other words, a sort of artificial crescendo. But it was a losing battle. Towards the latter part of the century, the harpsichord was becoming increasingly old-fashioned and obsolete. It was still actually the norm for Bach and Handel, although Bach is known to have actually played some early pianos on a visit to his son at the court of King Frederick the Great in Potsdam. What's not widely known is Bach actually became a dealer of pianos, but he left harpsichords and things called Lautenwerke in his will, but he didn't leave any pianos, so he didn't seem to possess any. Early Mozart and Haydn would have been more often played on the harpsichord, but by the time Mozart reached Vienna in 1781, he was definitely playing exclusively or composing exclusively for pianos, the early pianos, which we call forte pianos. The harpsichord endured until the end of the century. Beethoven even gave lip service to the instrument on the title page of his famous Moonlight Sonata, so it's about 1803 or something, which says it can be played on piano or harpsichord. He was probably hedging his bets to reach the widest possible market, and it would have been, of course, nonsense to play the piece on the harpsichord. The harpsichord actually had all but died out by that time, except in opera houses where they were still used to accompany recitative, or what we call recitative secco. The instrument remained essentially extinct until the early 20th century, when it underwent something of a revival as the interest in authentic or historically informed performers, as we now say, perked up. These early pianos were very little like those we play now. There's much less resonance, even less sound, less volume. There was a very, very uneven tone throughout the instrument. The pianos we know today on the iron frame developed in the late 19th century, the age of the late Romantics, like Liszt, Brahms. In pedal, you can raise the dampers and create layers of sound using the fantastic resonance of the modern instrument. Listen to the difference with and without the dampers on this Debussy piece. Well, how about Bach on the piano? Well, of course, most people don't have access to a harpsichord or clavichord, so there is no choice. So just bear in mind that Bach did not have access to such an instrument, and would he have approved? Well, he was incredibly flexible in transcribing his own music, so probably, but we'll never know. Do tread carefully when playing Bach on the piano, and I'll make that the subject of a future video anyway. So for now, that's it. Thanks for listening, and again, please do like and subscribe, and look out for my future videos. Bye for now.